Sorry, buddy. Alright, thanks for watching. This is my second stream. The first one, my computer just had too much open and quit unexpectedly, so. Hi, buddy. I'm back working more on this. If I do 3 hours a day, if you do a little over 3 hours a day for a month, that's 100 hours of painting. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. Hi, Life. How are you doing? DC, what's that mean? D/C. I'm pretty good, thanks. It's almost midnight where I am. I have to finish soon, but if I could just painting, it's all about putting hours in. If I could just put the time in, I'll be golden. Oh, disconnected. Um, this is my Aunt Ran who passed away recently. I'm going off a picture, that's what I keep looking at here. I have a picture that's my mom's Facebook profile picture that has my Aunt Ran in it. So I'm going off of that. And this is the Christmas present for my mom. No, I like painting. I'm just tired, but this is my relaxation from work or my distraction or how I procrastinate, however you want to look at it. But this is fun. It just, once it gets to be midnight, it's kind of crazy to be up past midnight painting if painting isn't the main thing you do. But painting's fun, so. And I really want to be good at it. If I work really hard at this, spend a few hours every day, and then that's my whole thing is, I go through bursts where I'll work on it for like a month, and I do, oh yeah, I'm doing a few hours every day for like a month. But then that stops because I'm lazy. And yeah, I just stopped doing the work that I need to do. So I just want to, stay on it. So I did, you can look at my live streaming history. I was doing like an hour a day, or at least several hours a day back in September, October, and then I kind of stopped. And I didn't do anything really in November or December or the first half of January. Now I'm back into it. And so that's like 2.5 months I missed out on. Think how good I would be. No, oh, thanks. I just like painting. I've always liked art very much. And I used to always draw cartoons and stuff, and I only got into painting 2.5 years ago. So now that I'm into painting, I'm doing painting. But yeah, though I don't really care about being a professional artist, but I care about it in the sense that I would like to sell something. That would be like a really big achievement for me, is if I could sell my art. And yeah, I mean, everybody wants to be a professional. Everybody who does art wants to be professional in some capacity, I assume, in the sense that you want people to acknowledge, hey, this is really worthwhile stuff. And then if you sell your stuff for money, I bet that feels good, I would imagine. You should start painting though. You should buy some paints. And I don't know anything about painting. I just kind of try to make the colors be what they are. You should get some paints, and you could start by doing like a Bob Ross or something. And then Bob Ross is really cool because it gives you an idea for, the magic it can be, and how you just fill in dark spots, and you fill in light spots, and you don't really see anything, and then the picture kind of comes out of nowhere. And the cool thing about painting is you could kind of, change stuff around however you want. Absolutely nothing's fixed. You can go back and look at the, look at this painting from like 4 live streams ago. It's pretty similar. I've just, I keep drawing in the lines. Oh, these eyes aren't perfect. Yeah, of course not. So, someplace it's dark, get that in. Someplace it's light, get that in. I like to make it whatever color, so that's easy. Oh, for a living I do like physics stuff. I'm like a very low level physics person. I only have a bachelor's. I don't have a PhD or anything. But that's what I do for work, so it's fairly different from this. So this is like a nice relaxation. Oh, Bob Ross. Yeah, I hate ASMR. I hate just that sound. The sound of somebody whispering or something like that, that drives me nuts. But I used to watch Bob Ross to fall asleep because he's just like so calm. He helps you fall asleep, at least in my opinion. I'd put on a Bob Ross. It was when I was in college, and if I really had to get to sleep or something, just put on a Bob Ross, and within like 5 minutes, I'd be passed out. But look, Bob Ross is cool. Hold up, check this out. Look, this is a Bob Ross I did in like, when was that? Like right when I started. And this is the one that got me into painting. And look, it looks so cool. You really make mountains and stuff. And I hadn't painted or anything when I did this. So you just get a really easy idea for, what you want to do. Oops, I messed up my computer. There we go. Do you want to do more physics research and keep doing that? Oh, I would like to do both. Oh, you want to work for NASA? That's cool. I had an internship at NASA a really long time ago now. It was 7 years ago now. But NASA's a cool place. What do you want to do at NASA? Astrophysics? Something like that? Anyway, I'd like to do both. Physics is cool, painting's cool. They're so different. I think it's actually it really is kind of a nice little career plan to do both, because, you get tired of physics, you could do some painting. You get tired of painting and you could do some physics. And actually, I'm kind of like mentally, I'm kind of a spaz out. So, that's kind of my idea with things. But that's actually not even enough for me. I need like a third hobby to get on, like painting, physics, and for me, sports betting. I like to bet on sports, and kind of like making like coding apps, but coding could be really frustrating. No, this wasn't even inspired by Bob Ross. This is just watching an episode. You could there's some episode where he makes exactly this painting, and then I just did what he told me to do. And yeah, I ended up with that. And, it's not great if you look at it. I don't really like it. When I look at it, I think, oh, this doesn't look good. It's so basic. But I remember when I did it at the time, it was truly magical. And I was like, wow, like I'm a real painter. And so I think and I only did one Bob Ross ever. And from then I just launched into painting. And since then I've just been painting. I just did one Bob Ross. But Bob Ross showed me that I could do it, that I'm capable of it. I didn't do astrophysics. I don't know really what they call it, but it was really just sun stuff, looking at the sun, reporting the space weather. Oh, hey, there's a solar energetic particles coming at us. Oh, hey, there's a solar wind coming at us. There's a storm. But I did it in summer 2018 when we were at a solar minimum. So there wasn't even like really much to look at all, since it was a solar minimum. And so we also did like a research. We looked at past coronal mass ejections and then assessed how accurate their forecasting model is. It was kind of like a first step into forecasting, but NASA's cool. Everybody wants to work at NASA. I bet you could get an internship there. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess like the whole thing's basically black and white. This is kind of bluish. I think I remember I mixed some blue in here at some point. And that's obviously brown. And it's gotten a little faded over time, but yeah, it's almost all black and white. And yeah, it's like, to me it looks like Alaska or something in the winter. Alaska or British Columbia or something. Yeah, the house is brown, but nothing else is brown. No, I don't work at NASA anymore. I was just there for a summer. It's a cool place to be, though. Physics is cool because you can kind of work on things that change the world. Like, if you're like if you're somebody who contributes to nuclear fusion, you could change the world in a way that you could never change the world with painting. But if you could make like an amazing painting that makes people feel stuff and act differently, then you could like change the world in a way that you could never change it through physics. So they, you know, I think it's good to like, you just spend your life investing in things you're interested in, and then beyond that, you know, you kind of just keep at it and you try to, it's the same as investing, you know, all you're doing, all life is you have a certain amount of time and you're investing it. And so I think it's just like investing in the stock market. You have a portfolio of projects, and you kind of allocate time to things that you think are worthwhile. And just like the portfolio, you put your time into things that you believe in. If there's something that you hate doing, you know, don't spend your time doing it if you could avoid it. And then the other thing about investing is diversify your portfolio. So I think this is the way I'm diversifying my portfolio. Is part of my portfolio is in physics, and then I also have another part of my portfolio in painting. And some of my portfolio is in sports betting, and some of my portfolio is in stock market and stuff. And so, you know, you want all these different ways to make money, or I want all these different ways to make money, and I don't want to just make money, I want to have fun. Oh yeah, so then YouTube too, if I live stream all this stuff, I could get, you know, a following and viewership, and then at some point, if I'm lucky, I could make money from live streaming. And the cool thing about live streaming stuff like this is it's just my project, so it doesn't take any time. I just turn the camera on. Okay, let me see your comments. Nice, that makes it unique with respect to Bob Ross. Well, yeah, it was a weird Bob Ross painting. I picked it because I had a black canvas, and he doesn't have that many tutorials where he starts with a black canvas. So I had to do one of those. And so I think that's kind of why it's mostly black and white, is because it starts with a black canvas. But yeah, it is weird for a Bob Ross, I agree. Yeah, I'm in the East Coast of the US. Sports betting, because it's like a market. If you look at it, it's just like the stock market. The only difference is that, like with stocks, you're kind of entering these contracts. You could do puts or calls, and you could enter short-term contracts with stocks. You know, a one-day contract or a months-long contract or even a years-long contract. Or you could buy a stock, which is basically a contract that you're holding indefinitely. It's going to expire. You're holding the contract and it doesn't expire until you sell it. There's no expiration on that contract when you buy a stock. And then betting is just the same thing. It's also a free market, but the contracts that you're buying and selling are expiring typically, you know, on the same day that you buy it. And so with any market, if the market isn't perfectly efficient, you could pick out where the market isn't perfectly efficient and make money from it. And in the sports betting market, the stock market has so much money in it already, and there's so many people scalping the inefficiencies in the stock market, that it's like just much more difficult to do than the betting market. And the betting market is still new and like rapidly growing, and so there's a lot of inefficiencies you could take advantage of. So it's just a free market that's easier to make money from than the stock market. The stock market, so then that sounds great, like there's no downsides. The big downside to the betting market is there isn't a lot of liquidity. So you can't, if you have a technique that works, it's really difficult to scale it up and go from making thousands of dollars to like really serious money. So it's just kind of a different market. No, I don't make any money from streaming like this. I guarantee you're the one viewer right now. Wow, that's crazy. Recently we went up to 3 viewers, but yeah, you're the only viewer right now. It dropped back down to 1, but yeah, I don't make any money from streaming. My ex-girlfriend's brother makes money from streaming, and I started streaming before him, but you know, I've never been very consistent with it. I think that if I could just, you know, stream every day, the key is to get a following and get people who are interested in tuning in and go, hey, that, you know, that guy is doing his stream again. And I think the thing about streaming is you really just have to be honest and working hard at a project, and that's basically all it takes for people to be interested. Other than that, I think you just have to kind of keep a good attitude and wait for people to start watching your stream. And the other thing is, if I don't get any following from streaming, I don't really mind that at all. That's fine. It would just be, you know, it's just like one possibility. Oh, maybe this could turn into money. I like to spend my time doing things that I like. Streaming doesn't take any extra effort, and if on the off chance I get lucky, you know, it could be an extra income source so that I don't have to worry about money. I want to spend my life having fun, but then you also need money so that you can, you know, afford to have fun, and so that people can't step on you, and so that you don't end up at 55 years old. I don't want to be 55 years old and have to take a job that I don't want just so that I have money to have freedom when I'm 70. Hopefully I could, you know, luck my way into some money by the time I'm 30 or 40. I'm 27 now. How do you like Florida? Where do you live in Florida? Florida's such a big place. What's your favorite place in Florida? Tell me, what are the cool things about Florida, and then what are the not so cool things? Obviously the really cool thing would be no income tax. Oops. But what are the other cool things about Florida? I'm gonna get a water real quick. Alright, let's see. What do you say? What's Leif say? Is it Leif or is it Leaf? I assumed it was Leif, but I don't want to say it wrong. Isn't it a viewership thing? Like, at what point? Oh, at what point can you make money? Let me see. It says on my YouTube. If I go look at it, let me look real quick. Manage videos. All right, earn. So the first thing you unlock is memberships. So I guess people could pay money. My idea for that to generate like views and people being excited is, I would say memberships are $1 and then limit it to like 10 memberships, and then I'll do like a 10-hour portrait of the first 10 people who get memberships. And then from there I could make it like, I don't know, $3 a membership, and then you could get some like cool small little thing. But anyway, okay, so the first thing to unlock memberships, you need 500 subscribers, 3 video uploads in the last 90 days, and 3,000 public watch hours. So I have 210 public watch hours. Nowhere close to that. You need basically to get 10 hours of watch time a day, or like a little under. So that's not so bad. Honestly, if I do it regularly, I'll do that. Then to make money from ads, you need 1,000 subscribers. I have 160, 4,000 public watch hours. So I'm nowhere close to that. But, you know, I did this regularly like for a month in September, and I got like a pretty good amount of watch hours. I think if I do it like every day, say until March, say until St. Patrick's Day, I'll be able to get like a good following. And that membership thing, I think, would really get people excited. They'd say, "Whoa, I could just pay $1 for a membership and get a portrait of myself." I think, people would be stoked about that. I live in Baltimore, Maryland. Obviously, I don't know any other Baltimores. At what point could you make money from it? Like, you need at least 10 viewers. Something else. Amen to doing things you like. I'm sick of worrying about money. Yeah, me too. I don't make any money at my job. I don't have any money. But luckily, I'm only 27. So the good thing about being young and, I don't have a family. I only have to worry about myself. So, I'm lucky. I don't need money. But, hopefully I won't be in this situation in 10 years. That would be depressing for me. But, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. As long as I'm alive and my brain can think, I think I'll be okay. Nice. Everglades are cool. Natural parks, botanical gardens. I have no idea where Miramar is. I like that, though. I like all the natural stuff. I think the cool thing about Florida is the natural stuff, and then that's also the scary thing. I've looked at living in Florida. I've been looking at Tampa. But yeah, what do you think about this? What about the alligators? Because every time I think about living in Florida, I have a small dog, and I think I don't want to have to worry about my dog running out in the backyard, or I don't want to have to worry about walking my dog around like a nice nature area because a gator might grab out and get him. Is that something you would worry about, or you just don't worry about that where you are in Florida? Oh, oops, it's Leaf. My bad. Sorry. Leaf. No, I didn't make any. I've never made money from YouTube. But I've also never done it like very seriously or consistently. And you could even see like this is a very basic stream setup. It's just my computer and I have the, painting, and then I zoomed in, So probably I could do a better stream setup if I was more serious. But I think the key thing for streaming is that it shouldn't take any effort for me. It takes me about a minute to set up the stream. And if I have to do I'm really not a front of the camera person or entertainer. I don't have any passion for video editing or whatever. You could see on my channel, there's like 2 videos I've edited and they suck. So, I don't like video editing. I just want some money. And also it's like exposure. Okay, so then I'm painting on here. That gives me exposure. I'm thinking, what better way to get people to buy my art or get exposure for my art is to actually be painting and people see it. But then the other thing is like when I'm live streaming other stuff, like something for work or something that could be like work related, then suddenly it's adding to my portfolio, and anyone who searches Pat LaChapelle Physics is going to find my YouTube doing all this technical stuff, and they'll say, hey, this guy's it's a demonstration of your work. It's one thing to send a resume explaining the stuff I've done. It's a different thing if they could go see your video and see you writing code and see that you're serious about it. And also if people like your videos and stuff, they take you seriously. And then I've also linked, whenever I do a coding video, I tell people, go to my GitHub, star my repository, so it helps in that way too. Everything ties into each other. I'm just so happy with myself with this YouTube idea. There's a city in Broward County. I know Broward County. That's always on like the news. It'll be like Broward County, Florida. Called Davie with beautiful parks and farms. I love going to, and great safe parks to walk dogs. I'd recommend you move there. Or Pembroke Pines. Pembroke Pines sounds nice, unless you move down to maybe Homestead or closer to the Everglades. Yeah, Florida's a crazy place. Like, wasn't it, I don't know, like 5,000 years ago it was all underwater or something like that? And it's just so much swamp and all that stuff they've done to even make it livable is just a very bizarre, very, very weird place Florida is. It's amazing. They really, They made it out of nothing. It's like Southern California. Southern California is pretty interesting. Uh, if you ever look at it or you're interested um, in the history of Southern California, there, it's not very livable at all. It's just a desert. And they've just basically engineered all these ways to pump water into that area. And the whole LA area, if you look at it on the map, it's just like kind of like a sort of like a bubble where people shouldn't even really be able to exist. But they do this. People should only really live on the coast. That's where all the Native Americans lived. And not many people lived in that LA bubble, but they did that amazing engineering. And then you see things like with the fires that are going through LA, well, it's, there's all these downsides to the engineering. Like they ran out of water and stuff. That's because it's so hard to get water there in the first place. Anyway, it's cool. I love coding, but the thing that you think makes it sound boring is the thing that stops it from being perfectly exciting to me. Nothing's more exciting than like making an app and making something work. And then nothing is more boring and frustrating than like perfecting it and making it so that it's like it will work every time on every computer for anyone who ever uses it in every which way. That's like really boring and not fun or whatever. But making something out of thin air and just having an idea and then suddenly it's an app on your computer, that's like totally magical to me. And I think everyone loves that. Everyone I've ever met who does any sort of coding, they totally love that aspect. Yeah, it's like a crazy thing about LA. I've never seen the movie, but apparently the movie Chinatown, it's like a classic. I think it won Oscars and stuff, Academy Awards. But apparently that's about that, Chinatown. My family likes that movie. That's where maybe dog walking might be dangerous. Yeah, that's so crazy about Florida. Florida's a totally weird place. Yeah, coding's like the main thing I do for my job. Now I do it fairly regularly, but for the first 2 years, I've been here for almost 4 years now. The first like 2.5 years, I did nothing but write code every day. So that's like what I do for work. It's kind of like coding for physicists, because you get to science and nobody really likes to code, but science labs can't really hire coders, because if you're like a really good coder, you're gonna go work for Google or Amazon or something. Why would you want to work for a university and make no money? So there's like a nice little niche for people who like physics and stuff and also want to code. There's a nice little niche to go make no money. Yep, it's in a lab. It's like a Earth and Space Sciences lab, and we mostly look at like high pressure materials. It has applications for Earth science, like if you want to know what's going on, like for models of the Earth's mantle or whatever, and then technically stuff for like if you like astrophysics, you want to look at what would a super Earth look like. You could see the dynamics of that. Oh, exoplanets, see the dynamics of exoplanets. But none of that's really interesting. Oops. None of that's really interesting to me. What I think is interesting is the shock physics side. And it's like you shock a material. You can use lasers, use like really small diameter lasers beams, and then shoot them at tiny bits of materials. And if you confine everything really precisely, you could get them up to super high pressures and temperatures, to the point where like the hottest place, at least in the solar system, is in a lab in California, I think. The hottest, point that's existed in our solar system, and maybe bigger, maybe our galaxy, I don't really know, is like in a lab on Earth. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I really enjoy it. I think it's fun. It's like I always say, it makes no money, but nothing could be more interesting or more engaging for my brain, and then nothing could look better on a resume. So, everything's a trade-off, but you look at jobs that make money. The options I had coming out of college to make money, I could have gone and worked, like, been a code monkey somewhere. And I would have made good money. It would have been a much better like career path in terms of money. But that stuff's really still open to me. Yeah, and I wasn't even like a very good student. So if you're like a really good student or whatever, and you don't mess up your grades and all that stuff, you probably have like way more open to you than I did. Oh no, working at Google would be like a dream, but I don't know. I haven't been successful getting a job there, but um, no, Google would be a dream. I mean, like the other jobs I had, there's like this company called Reviture, and you could go basically sign a contract for them, and then they send you to go work for some company, and you're not doing anything interesting. You're like working on Target's code base, or working on the cyber security for I don't know, Visa. It's like really boring, stupid stuff. Yeah, what do you mean? Yeah, I'm fairly certain. Um, I'm pretty sure it's the hottest point. It might be the highest pressure point. Um, but yeah, and actually, the hottest thing in the solar system might actually just be the tokamak reactor. I say this stuff, I don't really have it that clear in my head. But if you look up the NIF fusion experiment should be one of the hottest. The NIF fusion experiment, look that up. NIF fusion or tokamak fusion, and see. Yeah, I think it says it on the Wikipedia or something. It was the hottest point in the solar system. Yeah, I know. Well, let me see what. Let's see. So, sun max temperature is 27 million Fahrenheit. Okay, that doesn't help. All right, 15 million Celsius. So like 15 million Kelvin. Tokamak temperature. All right, so 15 million Kelvin. Oh yeah, so look up tokamak. Oh well, Google would be a dream just because it's Google. So like, on your resume, if you're like, I was a coder at Google, everybody in the world would hire you if they're hiring for a coding job, because they say that guy coded for Google. Then like the best of the best hired this guy to write code. Of course, we will hire this guy. And then the other thing of just being around that environment of really high level people, really high level teams, they're like constantly working at the cutting edge. Like one of those companies where you're constantly working at the cutting edge, you just get like tools and experience that nobody else in the world has unless they've been at a top company like that. So that just sets you apart. And I think if you work there for 5 years, you go out and then you just beat everybody else in life because you've like killed it in like a highly competitive environment. Yeah, it does sound toasty. Okay, I just looked it up. It says the sun is like 15 million degrees Celsius, and I looked up tokamaks. Tokamak reactor is like basically you could confine a plasma, and a plasma is just super hot, high energy particles are flying around, and if you can confine it and keep it, you know, in a confined spot, then at some point the high energy particles are going to slam into each other, and then it's like the nuclei of the two particles get close enough to each other that they like within nanometers, they get close enough, a billionth of a meter or something like that, like 4 billionths of a meter or something. They get close enough so that it overcomes the strong nuclear force and they fuse together, and then you get nuclear fusion. So they're trying to make nuclear fusion in tokamak reactors. And in order to have those conditions where the confined plasma makes fusion, you need to have, it says here, 150 million degrees. 150 million degrees Celsius. And the sun max temperature is 15 million degrees Celsius. So those tokamak reactors get up to 10 times as hot as the sun. So it's the hottest thing for sure, you know, anywhere around here. I mean, you never know, like, if, like, a company or whatever is, like, cutting edge at the moment. You only really know in retrospect, but you could, like, definitely look at it and you say, okay, if I had been an intern at Google in 2005, that would have been, you know, a premier thing on that would be an amazing experience if I had been an intern at Google in 2005. Same thing if I had done it in 2010, 2015, or 2020. So is it a good idea in 2025? I don't really know, but it's like a pretty good bet. Maybe Google has like totally fallen apart internally, and maybe they're just lazy and they don't do anything good, and I wouldn't learn anything and it would just ruin my life. Maybe that would happen, but that's like kind of improbable. But you never know, you know. You could have maybe, you know, look at Wall Street right before the big crash in 2008. If you got a job if you had an internship at Lehman Brothers in 2006, you would think, wow, that would be amazing on a resume. But then by 2009, your internship at Lehman Brothers, you wouldn't even want to show that on your resume. You know, you wouldn't, if somebody saw that, they would say, oh, you learned how to be a scam artist. Like, get out of here. We don't want to hire you. So, you know, maybe that's happened to Google, but I kind of doubt it. But you never really know. You know, it's just, I think like Google has so much momentum, the probability of them having decayed, and I don't know about it, is like really low. But yeah, NASA is really cutting edge. I mean, it's hard to say, you know, NASA, what everyone talks about now, this stuff with NASA is like how inefficient they are. And like, the famous example is SpaceX, and everybody says, oh, SpaceX is so much more efficient, but it's because they are. And I remember when I interned at NASA, I had 2 NASA internships. So the first NASA internship, they were really getting us excited about Mars. It was all Mars. I remember they said like one of the things that happened was NASA designed a rocket ship to go to Mars. And it wasn't just to go to Mars. It was like a rocket ship to go out to space, and like basically the mission was go out to a spaceport. And then, you know, it needs to be able to run supplies out to the spaceport and then like return back and stuff. So NASA designed a rocket to do that. And NASA's design, they estimated, would be $100 billion. And then SpaceX built it Oh, sorry. NASA estimated the design, I think, at 10 billion, and then SpaceX actually built it. NASA just estimated it. They didn't even build anything. SpaceX actually built it for 100 million. So for 1/100th the cost of NASA's estimate, they actually did it. And so then you end up with the question of like, what is NASA? Are they just like some overbloated government agency? When I was there, it's interesting. When I was at NASA, um, everybody that you meet says, oh, if only they could fund this specific thing, if only they could fund that specific thing. And so it's not totally clear to me if NASA is constantly working on cutting edge stuff in all areas. They certainly are in like lots of places. If you go get an internship at NASA, you're going to go learn from a top scientist. But then there are also things at NASA where they're like over bloated and completely inefficient. And if you want to work on the engineering side, would you rather be on that absurd NASA team that designed a $10 billion rocket ship that they never even built? Or would you rather be on the SpaceX team who actually built a $100 million rocket ship? On as far as your resume goes, it would look way better to have SpaceX. Then you get into stuff where like SpaceX, like work-life balance, and if I worked at SpaceX, I wouldn't be home painting. If you work at SpaceX, you work 70 hours a week or whatever. So, pros and cons. If you work at NASA, you get a good work-life balance. I don't know exactly what SpaceX did. I know like generally, like NASA basically, they compromise different things, and SpaceX will prioritize like just making it happen, getting it done, and getting it done for like a reasonable cost. NASA's priorities are often like scientific capabilities. They will like blow the budget into the stratosphere, but hey, look, we could do basically anything you could imagine. And then also like safety. Look, it's by far the safest thing. But then they also, this is where the big bureaucracy and corruption creeps into NASA, is there's also like, hey, we're used to using this company's, launchers, and this company's that, and this company's this thing. So then it becomes just hopelessly inefficient, partially because they're buddy-buddy with a lot of companies that overcharge. What does NASA do? That's a good question. They do like tons of their functioning there is like atmospheric stuff, satellite stuff, Earth monitoring. Like the stuff I did there was monitoring solar weather. Solar weather is like a big deal. If you have like coronal mass ejections on the sun or solar wind events, you could knock out the entire power grid. And you have no idea when it's going to happen. It's kind of exciting right now because we're in the middle of a solar maximum. I don't know if you remember last year, there was like a big solar wind event, and you could see like the aurora borealis all the way down in Mexico and stuff. But if you have a coronal mass ejection on the sun, could happen at any time. You have no idea when it's going to happen. If you have a big one, it'll be at Earth in 2 days. You have basically a 2-day warning, and it will knock out the entire power grid, and there's nothing we can do about it. And we could have one right at this instant. So, monitoring stuff like that is a big deal. Monitoring asteroids coming into Earth. And then, we're constantly adding new satellites into the sky. So their job is becoming increasingly more just satellite management. There's this satellite's looking at the sun, making sure it doesn't collide with that satellite, which is performing military stuff. And then proofing all these satellites for like nuclear bombs and space warfare. You could see a clip from the Israel conflict that's been going on for like the last 2 years or a year and a half or whatever. There was a clip when Iran sent an ICBM, and then Israel intercepted it in space, and you could go see a video. There's like this explosion in space, and it's literally Star Wars is going on over the Middle East. NASA is partnered with SpaceX. They have SpaceX's, the vast majority of the money that SpaceX has is from NASA, and NASA just paying SpaceX to send stuff up, and paying SpaceX to make experimental stuff that NASA is going to be able to use in the future. Like SpaceX's like whole business plan is contract to NASA, do stuff for NASA. SpaceX doesn't have the work balance because that's just like company culture, and it's just an Elon Musk company. Like everybody knows, like Elon Musk companies, you're compensated really well. You're only hired if you're like a top person. You have to be smart. You can like work your way up quickly if you're like a really capable person. Lots of people who are like really capable and like lots of people just derive value from work, including myself. And so lots of people that get a lot of value from their work like working at those types of companies because you're changing the world. Like if you've seen like those videos of the rocket ships coming down and they can land and catch them, that has changed the world. The whole 10 years 15 years ago, that wasn't a thing that even existed, that anyone was talking about. It just couldn't be done, and space stuff was like 10 times as much money. And now the world has been changed because of those people's work. So and they made a lot of money doing it. So yeah, you have to sacrifice the work-life balance and work all the time, but you can change the world and get rich. So maybe you want a better work-life balance, and you don't care about getting rich, you just want to change the world and have a good work-life balance. Then you could go work at NASA. Maybe you want to get rich and you want a good work-life balance, but you don't care about changing the world. You could go be a salesman or something, It's all about different trade-offs. Yeah, SpaceX was founded by Elon Musk in like the early 2000s. And I spilled some water. Just a sec, I have to clean it up. But SpaceX was founded because I think their mission was to commercialize space travel, and basically they weren't happy with how there wasn't much space travel that's happened since the golden age of space travel when we went to the moon and stuff. And I got really excited about this stuff in around 2016, 2017, because in my head it's like a very obvious question, right? Like, we went to the moon, why didn't we go to Mars? Why did we stop at the moon? So then you find out about SpaceX, and SpaceX's goal really is to go to Mars. And it's like, what could be more exciting than that? Anyway, I know there were people I talked to at NASA who said that they knew people who left NASA when SpaceX started to go work there. And that was the trade-off they made, is basically they knew they wouldn't have any free time, but they were going to go get really rich and do something that was exciting. So I think that sounds cool. I'd be happy to give up all my free time and spend all my time working on something that's going to change the world. I don't know. Yeah, well, the big thing on the news is, he appeared to do a Nazi salute at his inauguration speech, and basically the people defending it say that he was I don't know, just go watch the video, see what you think for yourself. The people defending it say that he was basically putting his hand over his heart and saying showing his love to everybody, but that seems like a pretty big coincidence. Just look up the video. It looks just like a Nazi salute. But Elon Musk, he's a totally interesting guy. And look at the rich people. I don't know how old you are, but when I was a kid, the rich people in the world were Bill Gates. And Bill Gates always played everything very safe, really totally cultivated his image. And he's kind of fake. And Elon Musk is exciting because it's it's the richest guy in the world, but he's doing absolutely crazy stuff, totally wild moves you would never expect the richest guy in the world to do. So, some people like it, some people hate it. I say at the very least it's interesting. And as far as just I just like the going to Mars. I want to go to Mars. That's what I think is exciting. I've applied to work at SpaceX. They just haven't hired me. And I go through like spazzes of like hiring or applying stuff. It's like uh, I'll I'll get the motivation to apply somewhere, and I'll apply at a bunch of places at once. But then if I don't get the jobs I'm applying for or whatever, it's like kind of disheartening. And then applications just take so much time. If you're doing applications, like I'll easily spend like you could spend 3 or 4 hours a day doing applications for months, or at least I have, and not gotten any like really good jobs. That's one of the problems. Is my job right now is like a really good title, and so every job it's like pretty rare that like I get a job where I think, wow, this would be like a big improvement for me. This looks better on my resume than my current job. That's just pretty rare. Oh, the salute was like the big thing I've seen in the news, like the last few days. The outside of that, I guess he's just become like right wing, or more right wing, or it doesn't even seem like that right wing to me. It seems like he supported Trump, um, and he's been well. He became pretty controversial since the support of Trump, but that was only in like July, and he's basically like, if you remember, like his image during the pandemic and before the pandemic is like he was pretty universally liked. He had some missteps. There was like that thing in 2018, the Thai soccer team got stuck in a cave, and then he was like trying to make a publicity stunt out of it, and then he called some guy a pedo, who like saved the kids, and that was bad. But for the most part, everybody just loved him as like the technologist who brought us self-driving cars. That's what people saw him as. And then it really started to change when he bought Twitter, and people were like, "Oh, Elon Musk, he's like a right-wing figure," and all this stuff. And then, that momentum just kind of carried through the summer and stuff. But I think buying Twitter is exciting. It's like the comparison with Bill Gates. Like Bill Gates, you saw him basically start the Gates Foundation, and just, oh look, I'm curing this, I'm curing that. He is all about like making his image look good. And Elon, it's like wild, just bought Twitter for $44 billion. Like, you'd never see Bill Gates do that. For better or worse, I don't know. Oh, X, Twitter. I don't know. If you look up like Elon Musk and his history, he loves X. And the first I think like the first successful company he ever sold was called X Bank. I think that was like his big break, was X Bank, which then merged with PayPal, and then that's how he made his fortune, was when they sold PayPal to eBay. I think that's what happened. Um, and so I guess he just loves the name X. He says something to do with sex. I really don't understand it. Um, but yeah, it was like the Twitter rebrand. They rebranded Twitter. Yeah, I live alone. I have a huge, giant apartment. I moved here with my girlfriend, but then she broke up with me, so I end up, and I don't even have any stuff, so I have a 1,200 square foot apartment now with no stuff in it. So That's kind of a waste of money, but oh well. I have a lot of room to paint, so I basically have an endless studio. It's huge, and I could do stuff like this. Like it's 1 a.m. and I'm just painting and live streaming, and this is great. Thanks for being so active on my live stream. It's totally keeping me engaged. This is like the whole point of live streaming, you know? It's like I said, like I don't want anyone to tune in and see I'm not working, but you know, if I was just sitting here by myself painting, it would be so easy to, oh, I'm just gonna go take a break now and lay in bed, and I'm gonna go look at my phone and lay in bed with my dog, and next thing you know, oh, I fell asleep. What do you know? Of course I fell asleep. I'm just laying in bed. But you know, you sit here, I think, oh, you know, Leaf is sending me interesting things on here. I wonder what Leaf is gonna say next. I better see what Leaf's gonna say. I can't be a lazy ass. I gotta stick around, so it's keeping me engaged. Oh, my family's mostly in California. I'm from Southern California, so that's where they're almost all from. But then my dad's family lives up in Washington. So my family's in Washington and California, splitting time between places. Yeah, of course, it's been fun. You keep it interesting. Actually, I do have family not too far from here in Virginia, but I don't see them too much. I should go see them more often. They're really nice people. They've always been really good to me. And I've done Thanksgiving with them and Easter with them since I moved back to Baltimore, but I haven't seen them in, I guess it's been a couple years now, so I really need to get in touch and go see them because they're really nice people. No, they weren't affected by the fires, but when the fires happened, um, I was home visiting, so it was kind of interesting. The fires were right there, um, and so there were like two main fires, right? There was the one that was at the beach, at the Pacific Palisades, and then there was the one in Altadena, which was up above Pasadena and stuff, like the Rose Parade, if you know that, or the Rose Bowl. It's up above that stuff. And Altadena is where, when I grew up, my grandparents lived in Altadena. That's where my mom grew up. It's where my aunt and uncle lived. This aunt, who just passed away, lived at that house in Altadena, and she passed away in October. And now my uncle lives at that house in Altadena. And so, so I have family who lives right where the fires went through. So that was like a big exciting thing. And not just for that, it gave me a new appreciation for uh, when people talk about their family house burned in a fire. That would have been a really big deal. Would have been sad for me, but it would have been a big deal for my mom. That's her childhood, where she grew up, and basically all of her family memories from 5 through 65, or not all of them, but a lot of them are associated with this house. And so, just watching the news, and you're basically, you have no power over the situation. You're just hoping and praying that your family house and all your memories and stuff won't burn. Um, and now think about, okay, so now think about those people in Pacific Palisades who, lots of them, their fire insurance got revoked like the month before. And think about those people who, they inherited the houses from their parents, so they didn't, they don't have a lot of money themselves. Their fire insurance got revoked, and then their house burned to the ground. with all their belongings in it, and they don't even have an insurance policy to rebuild it, and they don't have any money to rebuild it. So now basically they have this one asset, which is a plot of land with nothing on it. So I guess they could sell that and go, start again in a cheaper place that's not near the ocean and isn't their family house and stuff. So, the fires are just a terrible, terrible thing. But, one of the things about living in California, you're really living in this inhospitable environment where humans aren't supposed to live, and we squeezed water out of stone to make humans live there, and one of the consequences is sometimes hell comes and takes everyone's houses. Castello. Oh, so that's in Cuba. Castello is in Cuba. So your mom's childhood home burned down? That's too bad. Did it burn down when your mom was there? Like, was your mom at the house? Or, like, did she, was she around at the time? Or, like, was it after your mom left and came to Florida? And if you're Cuban, how'd you end up with the name Leif? Isn't that's Scandinavian? It's a Viking name, like Leif Erikson. How did a Cuban end up with the name Leif? Oh man, the fire insurance thing is its own crazy, controversy. But basically, the insurance companies said, "Hey, fire risk is really high right now. If there's a fire that goes through, we're not going to be able to cover all of the claims that." Basically, the insurance company said, "We can't handle this risk. We can't be holding all of these policies. We're canceling these policies." And the people who went out and got policies, they had to pay like, triple or quadruple normally what they would pay. And everyone else who didn't have the money to pay triple or quadruple normal prices, they just didn't have fire insurance and they were just fucked. What is SOSCEX? Work on a vacuum seal technology to prevent fire from spreading. I have no idea how that would even work. What would you vacuum the whole fire? Vacuum around the whole fire? Oh, Castro. Oh, oh, Castro. Oh my God! Seriously, Castro burned down your mom's childhood home? What a crazy story. So send more information in the chat. That's crazy. You lived what a 19th century experience. That's crazy. Castro burned down your mom's house. Talk about it. What'd your mom say that was like? And then I assume that's probably when your mom came to Florida. What's your mom say about that? Does your mom speak English? Where'd the red? Damn, that's crazy. So your mom came here in high school? Did she speak good English or is it hard for her? I heard that apparently if you come, like, does she have an accent? Because they say if you come to like whatever place, like if you move to whatever place before puberty, you don't have an accent. But if you do it after puberty, they have that you have an accent. Supposedly, that's what they say happens. Is that true? Does your mom have an accent, and when did she come here? Oops. Wow, that's impressive. Well, she must have come here. I wonder when she came then. But anyway.